student. Today we will take 11th lecture for PH 3501. Okay. We have studied the spectroscopic series in the last lecture 10. In lecture 10, we have studied the spectroscopic series and we have started the Bohr atom. So spectroscopic series we have studied in lecture 10. Okay. And some initial part of the Bohr atom we also studied in the 10th lecture. So today we will complete the remaining part of Bohr atom in this lecture. This is a hydrogen nucleus. And consider an orbit. Of radius r, in which electron is revolving around the hydrogen nucleus. This is the hydrogen nucleus, okay, around which the electron is revolving in an orbit of radius r. Okay, now nucleus contains hydrogen nucleus has a single proton inside the nucleus. So hydrogen nucleus contains a single proton in the nucleus. Okay, so the charge of hydrogen nucleus will be plus. So hydrogen nucleus has a single proton in the nucleus. So hydrogen charge of the hydrogen nucleus is plus. Charge of electron is minus. Okay, and we consider the ground state orbit for which n is equal to 1, which is known as smallest orbit. Okay, the radius of the smallest orbit R1 is 0.53 angstrom, that we have studied in 11th square standard. The radius of the first orbit or radius of the smallest orbit of electron in a hydrogen atom is 0.53 angstrom, and this orbit is known as this radius is known as Bohr radius. So let us consider a hydrogen nucleus. Let us consider a hydrogen nucleus, hydrogen atom, and the electron is revolving in a orbit around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay. Let us consider the first orbit, the smallest orbit of the hydrogen atom, and its radius of the smallest orbit or radius of the first n is the one orbit, smallest orbit of the hydrogen is 0.53 angstrom, and this radius is known as Bohr radius. So let us consider hydrogen atom in which electron is revolving around the hydrogen nucleus in orbit. N is equal to 1 is called the smallest orbit of hydrogen atom, and the radius of the smallest orbit N is equal to 1 of hydrogen atom is 0.53 angstrom, which is known as Bohr radius. Now we consider the wave nature of electron. We consider the wave nature of electron. The electron behaves as a wave. In the last lecture we have considered the wave nature of electron in an orbit. So let us examine the wave behavior of electron in our orbit around the hydrogen nucleus. So let us examine the wave behavior of electron which is revolving now in orbit around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay. So if we assume, let us examine the wave behavior of electron in our orbit n is equal to 1 of the hydrogen nucleus, then the de Broglie wavelength of this wave is given by h upon mv. Okay. So let us examine the wave behavior of electron in our orbit of radius r1 is looking at 53 angstrom. Okay. So electron behaves as a wave. The de Broglie wavelength of electron wave is given by de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength of electron wave is given by lambda is equal to h upon m, where h is the Planck constant, m is the mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron. So let us examine the wave behavior of electron in our orbit around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay, if we consider the wave behavior of electron in a orbit around the hydrogen nucleus, then de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave is given by lambda is h upon m. H is the Planck constant, m is the mass of electron, and v is the velocity of electron. M is the mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron. Now you have studied stable orbit. What is the balance condition for stable orbit? The centripetal force mv square upon r required for the orbital motion of electron around the nucleus is obtained from Coulomb force between nucleus and electron. What is the Coulomb force between nucleus and electron? It is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Charge of nucleus is E, charge of electron is E, so E into V square, and the distance between nucleus and electron is also r square, right? So this condition is called the balance condition. In the last lecture we already discussed this, that balance condition for the stable orbit of electron around the hydrogen nucleus is given by the centripetal force, and this square upon r required for the orbital motion of electron around the nucleus is provided by the Coulomb attracting force between nucleus and electron. That is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Charge of nucleus is E into charge of electron is E into V square upon us, that this Coulomb attractive force between nucleus and electron provides a centripetal force for the orbital motion of electron around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay. Now 1r is cancelled. 1r is cancelled. Therefore, the square is equal to, from this equation, the square is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 square upon n into r. Right? So when value of this square, velocity of electron v square is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 square upon, I am taking m here, so it is mr. Therefore, taking square root on both the sides, you get the velocity of electron. Therefore, velocity of electron v is equal to, velocity of electron v is equal to the square root, under root of the square will be e upon under root of the denominator will be 4 pi epsilon 0 mr. Okay, so this equation gives the velocity of electron in a orbit around the hydrogen nucleus, right? So velocity of electron in a orbit around the hydrogen nucleus is given by E upon under 4 pi epsilon 0 mr. Now substitute this value into de Broglie wavelength of electron, lambda is equal to the de Broglie wavelength of electron, where is lambda is equal to m. In this equation we will substitute the value of velocity v. So de Broglie wavelength of electron wave lambda is equal to h upon m. So lambda is equal to h upon m, and velocity of electron, de Broglie wavelength of electron wave in the orbit around the hydrogen nucleus is lambda is equal to h upon mv. H is the Planck constant, and is the mass of electron, and velocity of electron v. We have just obtained the equation of velocity. It is E upon under root 4 pi epsilon 0 mr. Velocity of electron is E upon under root 4 pi epsilon 0 mr. So this m can be written as under root m into under root m. This m can be written as under root m under root m. So 1 under root m is cancelled. So the de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave, de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave lambda is equal to h upon e, and this under root 4 pi epsilon 0 r upon m. Okay, so de Broglie wavelength of electron wave in a orbit around the hydrogen nucleus is h upon e, under root 4 pi epsilon 0 r will go in numerator, and under root m will be in denominator. Using this equation, we can calculate the de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave. You know the each, right? Each and every value. So lambda is equal to, what is the h? H is a Planck constant. The value of Planck constant is 6.63 10 to minus 34 joule into second. Charge of electron 1.6 10 to minus 90. Planck constant is 6.63 10 to minus 34 joule into second. Charge of electron is 1.6 10 to minus 19 coulomb under root 4 pi will be 3.48. What is epsilon 0? Epsilon 0 is the permittivity of the free space. What is the permittivity of free space? 8.85 10 to minus 12. 8.85 10 to minus 12. So epsilon 0 is the permittivity of the free space. It is 8.85 10 to minus 12. And r, what is r? It is the radius of the first orbit, smallest orbit. I told you the radius of the smallest orbit r1 is 0.53 angstrom. Means this 0.53 10 to minus 10 meters. So radius of the smallest orbit, n is equal to 1. Around the hydrogen nucleus is 0.53 angstrom or 0.53 10 to minus 10 meters. So 0.53 10 to minus 10 meters. Divided by mass of the electron. You know very well what is the mass of electron. The mass of electron is 9.1 10 to minus 31 kilogram. So we have substituted all the values. Planck constant H you know very well 6.63 10 to minus 34 joule into second. Charge of the electron 1.6 times 19 coulomb. 4 pi 3.14 epsilon 0 permittivity of the space 8.85 10 to minus 12. Radius of the smallest orbit, ground state orbit of an electron in a hydrogen atom M1 is 0.53 angstrom, so 0.53 10 to minus 10 meter. Mass of the electron 9.1 10 to minus 30 meter. If you calculate the de Broglie wavelength of electron wave, that comes 33 10 to minus 11 meter. Right? So the de Broglie wavelength de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave, we are getting 33 10 to minus 11 meter. Now if you calculate the circumference of this orbit, n is equal to 1. It is 2 pi r1. Right? So let us find out the circumference of electron orbit n is equal to 1. If you calculate the circumference of electron orbit n is equal to 1, what is the circumference of? Let us calculate the circumference of electron orbit n is equal to 1 is 2 pi r1. 2 pi is 3.48. The radius of the ground state orbit n is equal to 1 is 0.53 angstrom. So 0.53 10 to minus 10 meter. To calculate the circumference of the electron orbit n is equal to 1, that also comes 33 10 to minus 11 meter. So the important thing is this, that the de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave in the ground state orbit n is equal to 1 is 33 10 to minus 11 meter, and the circumference of this ground state orbit n is equal to 1 is also 33 10 to minus 11 meter. Means this orbit contains one electron wave. Because the de Broglie wavelength of electron wave in the ground state orbit n is equal to 1 is 33 10 to minus 11 meter, and circumference of this ground state orbit n is equal to 2 pi r is also 33 10 to minus 11 meter. Means this circumference, this orbit contains one electron wave. Means you can say that n is equal to 1 orbit contains one electron wave. You can say n is equal to 2 orbit contains 2 electron waves. N is equal to 3 can contain 3 electron waves. Right? Okay. So we can write down the conclusion here. The orbit of electron in a hydrogen atom, the orbit of electron orbit of electron, the orbit of electron in a hydrogen atom, in a hydrogen atom, the orbit of electron in a hydrogen atom corresponds to one complete electron base. Corresponds to one complete electron base. So orbit n is equal to 1. There is one electron wave. So the orbit n is equal to 1, ground state orbit n is equal to 1 of electron contains one complete electron wave, okay, joined on itself. Joined on itself. So ground state orbit of the electron in a hydrogen atom contains one electron wave joined on itself. So suppose I take n is equal to 2, there will be 2 electron waves. For orbit n is equal to 3, there will be 3 electron waves, and so on. Okay. So next part, okay. Up to here we have up to this portion we have covered in the last lecture. Okay. Now next is this. Suppose electron orbit contains n number of electron waves, okay, then the circumference 2 pi r, okay. Actually, if you put both the equations, for one wave you can write, sorry, one wave you can write the wavelength lambda and circumference 2 pi r is same. So 2 pi r is equal to, so the circumference 2 pi r contains one wave, and what is the wavelength of one wave? That is lambda. Similarly for two waves, okay, you can write 2 pi r is equal to 2 lambda. For three waves, circumference 2 pi r contains one wave, then 2 pi r is equal to lambda. If the circumference 2 pi r contains two waves, then write 2 pi r is equal to n 2 lambda. If the circumference contains n waves, for n electron waves, 2 pi r is equal to n lambda, right? So if the circumference 2 pi r of electron orbit contains one electron wave, then 2 pi r is equal to 1 lambda, because the wavelength of one electron wave is lambda. If circumference 2 pi r contains two electron waves, then 2 pi r is equal to 2 lambda. If circumference of electron orbit contains three waves, then 2 pi r is 3 lambda. And if circumference 2 pi r of electron orbit contains n integral number of electron waves, then 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. Okay, so I write the electron orbit contains electron orbit contains integral number of de Broglie waves, integral number of de Broglie waves. Electron orbit contains one wave, then 2 pi r is equal to 1 lambda. If electron orbit contains two waves, then 2 pi r is equal to 2 lambda. If electron orbit contains three waves, then 2 pi is equal to 3 lambda. And if electron orbit contains n waves, if electron orbit contains n de Broglie waves, okay, then the circumference, then the condition for stability of orbit, then condition of condition of condition condition for orbit stability is 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. So this is the condition for orbit stability. So if electron orbit contains n number of integral waves, then condition for the stability of electron orbit is 2 pi r lambda. So if the electron orbit contains n number of integral d W waves, if electron orbit contains n number of electron d W waves, then condition for stability of orbit 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. So if electron orbit contains n number of electron waves, then the circumference of electron orbit 2 pi r contains n waves, then it must be equal to n lambda. This orbit electron orbit contains 1 wave, then circumference 2 pi r 1 lambda. If electron orbit contains 2 waves, then 2 pi r 2 lambda. If electron orbit contains n number of d Broglie electron waves, then the circumference 2 pi r must be equal to n lambda. Okay, because wavelength of one wave is lambda, and wavelength of n wave will be n lambda. Okay. What is Rn in this equation? Rn. What is Rn? Rn is the radius of the orbit. Rn is the radius of nth orbit. What is Rn? It is the radius of the nth orbit which contains n waves. Which contains n waves or n wavelengths. Right? So Rn is the radius of the first orbit contains one wave. Second orbit contains two waves. The R1 is the radius of the first orbit which contains one wave. R2 is the radius of the second orbit which contains two waves. And Rn is the radius of the nth electron orbit which contains n number of electron waves or wavelengths. Okay. Now if in this equation, if you put the value of lambda, let us see what happens. Okay. So 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. In this equation, substitute the value of yes. What this equation says that circumference 2 pi r of electron orbit contains n waves, then the wavelength of n waves will be n lambda. So circumference 2 pi r of electron orbit contains one wave, then 2 pi is equal to 1 lambda. If it contains two waves, then it is equal to 2 lambda. If it contains n waves, then it is equal to n lambda. Now in this equation, we substitute the value of lambda from this. So 2 pi rn is equal to, what is the value of d Broglie wavelength lambda? The d Broglie wavelength lambda of electron is h upon e. Yes, and as it is, the d Broglie wavelength of electron wavelength is h upon e under root 4 pi epsilon 0 r upon n. If you take square on both the sides, squaring on both the sides, the square of 2 pi r n will be 4 pi square r n square is equal to n square h square upon e square, and this under will be epsilon 4 pi epsilon 0 r upon n. So squaring on both the sides, we get 4 pi square r n square n square h square upon e square. This under will become 4 pi epsilon 0 r upon n. So one r n is cancelled. So the radius Rn of the nth orbit is equal to yes. See, 4 is also going to be cancelled. This 4 is cancelled. Okay, 1 pi is also cancelled. So one Rn is cancelled. 4 is cancelled, 1 pi is cancelled. So radius of the electron orbit Rn of the nth orbit is n square epsilon 0 is there upon pi. I am taking in denominator pi m e square. So what is the radius of the electron orbit Rn? The radius of the nth electron orbit is n square epsilon 0 upon pi m e square. This equation you have derived in the Bohr model. In Bohr model, we have derived this equation. Okay. In Bohr model, we have derived this equation in the 11-12 standard. The same equation we have derived by considering the wave nature of electron in a orbit. Okay. So the yes. So this is the possible electron orbit. This equation gives possible electron orbits possible electron orbits. So this equation gives the possible electron orbits whose radius is given by above equation. Right? So this equation gives the possible electron orbit around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay, this equation gives this equation defines the possible electron orbit of the electron around the hydrogen nucleus, and the radius of that orbit is given by n square s square epsilon 0 upon pi m z square. Right? Okay. Now now, as I told you previously, that the radius of the ground state orbit and the one smallest orbit is called the Bohr radius. So that we also mentioned the radius of innermost orbit n is equal to 1. Radius of the innermost orbit or ground state orbit is called Bohr radius. Bohr radius and denoted by symbol A0 and denoted by A0, right? So radius of the ground state orbit or innermost orbit or smallest orbit n is equal to 1. Around the hydrogen nucleus, the radius of the innermost orbit or smallest orbit or ground state orbit n is equal to 1 is called a Bohr radius and it is denoted by A0. So radius of the innermost orbit or ground state orbit or smallest orbit of electron around the hydrogen nucleus n is equal to 1 is called a Bohr radius. This R1 is called the Bohr radius and it is denoted by symbol A0. Because so for n is equal to 1, what is the radius of the first orbit R1 is equal to? It is, if you take n is equal to 1 here, 1 square. So let us calculate the radius of the innermost orbit or smallest orbit or ground state orbit of electron around the hydrogen nucleus n is equal to this. Okay, you put n is equal to 1 here, so 1 square. Planck constant you know very well, 6.63 10 to minus 34 joule into second. Epsilon 0 8.85 10 to minus 12. Pi you know 3.14. Mass of the electron 9.1 10 to minus 31. Charge of the electron 126 10 to minus 19. Okay, so radius of the innermost or smallest or ground state orbit n is equal to 1 of electron around the hydrogen nucleus is 1 square. Planck constant is 6.63 10 to 34. Epsilon 0 8.25 10 to 12. Pi 3.14. Mass of the electron 9.1 10 to 31. Each 126 10 to minus 19 square. So that radius comes 0.53 10 to minus 10 meter. Okay, or 0.53 angstrom. So this is the radius of the innermost orbit of electron around the hydrogen nucleus, and this radius is called A0. It is called A0, right? So this is called A0, right? which is called a Bohr radius. So radius of the smallest orbit, the ground state orbit, the innermost orbit of electron around the hydrogen nucleus is 0.53 angstrom, and this called the Bohr radius is. So this, if you put n is equal to 1, then R1 is equal to S square, n is 1, so S square epsilon 0.5 m square, its value is 0.53 angstrom, and this radius is known as Bohr radius A0. Bohr radius A0. So R1 is equal to, if you put n is equal to 1, the radius of the innermost or smallest ground state orbit and one of electron around the hydrogen nucleus is R1 is equal to n is 1, S square epsilon 0.5 m square is called Bohr radius A0, and its value we have calculated 0.53 angstrom. If you want to write down the radius of the other orbits, okay, then here, see this S square epsilon 0.5 m square is the Bohr radius A0. It is the Bohr radius A0. So radius of the other orbits, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 4, n is equal to 5, like that, is given by, okay. So last equation I write the radius of radii of other orbits are given by radius of other orbits are given by Rn is equal to n square, and as I told you, the radius of the smallest orbit or innermost orbit and is one of the electron in a hydrogen atom is R1 is S square epsilon 0.5 m square is 0.53 angstrom. It is called Bohr radius A0. So n square, and this is nothing but the radius of the innermost or smallest orbit or ground state orbit and one of the electron around the nucleus. So it is A0. So Rn is equal to, you can write n square A0. Okay, you can also say that if you want to, from this equation, you can say that the radius of the second orbit, you have to put n equal to, it is 4 times greater than A0. Similarly, the radius of the third orbit is 3 square, 9 times A0. So radius of the second orbit is 4 times A0 and radius of the third orbit is 9 times A0. Okay. So this I have written the radius of the other orbits around the hydrogen nucleus. Okay, and it is n square times n square into the Bohr radius A0. What is A0? It is the radius of the innermost or smallest or downstream orbit and into one around the hydrogen nucleus. So this is the end of this Bohr atom. And one small topic which was studied, and then we will stop. That is the de Broglie hypothesis. The last topic, de Broglie hypothesis. We study the last topic, de Broglie hypothesis. This is the last topic of our syllabus. De Broglie hypothesis, de Broglie hypothesis, and Einstein-de Broglie relations. Okay. Now, according to de Broglie, you know very well that radiation, okay, has a dual nature, wave nature, and particle nature. Similarly, the microscopic particles or matter like electron also having dual nature, particle nature and wave nature. This is the de Broglie hypothesis which you have studied in physics and chemistry both, right? The radiation, generally you consider light as a radiation, but it is not like that. Okay, X-ray is a radiation, ultraviolet is a radiation, microwave is a radiation, infrared is a radiation, right? So X-ray, gamma rays, infrared, ultraviolet, visible light, okay, they all are called radiation. So generally we consider light as a radiation, but it is not like that. Okay, X-ray, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared, microwaves, all are the radiation. So that radiation, in some experiment, the radiation behaves as a wave. In some other experiment, radiation behaves as a particle. If I consider the example of light, you know which are the experiment in which light behaves as a wave? In interference, diffraction, and polarization. Okay. So these are the three phenomena, optical phenomena: interference, diffraction, and polarization. This radiation, light behaves as a wave. So if you consider the wave nature of light, then you can explain interference, diffraction, and polarization can be explained by the wave nature of light. If you consider the particle nature of light, interference, diffraction, polarization cannot be explained. Now on the other hand, there are some phenomena like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and black body radiation, right? So on the other hand, photoelectric effect, that is the Einstein photoelectric effect, when a ray of ultraviolet, when a light of sufficient high frequency, say ultraviolet light is incident on the metallic surface, electrons are emitted from the surface. That phenomenon is called photoelectric effect. Okay, and Compton effect cannot be explained on the wave nature of light. So if you consider the wave nature of light, you cannot explain photoelectric effect and Compton effect. So to explain the photoelectric effect and Compton effect, we have to consider the particle nature of light, photon nature of light. The energy of the photon is hf or hb, right? Okay. So interference, diffraction, polarization can be explained on the basis of wave nature of light. Interference, diffraction, polarization cannot be explained on the particle nature of light. On the other hand, photoelectric effect, Compton effect cannot be explained by the wave nature of light. To explain photoelectric effect and Compton effect, we have to consider the particle nature of light, photon nature of light. But the energy of the photon is hf or hv. Similarly, de Broglie assumed that if radiation has a dual nature, wave and particle, then it may be possible for material microscopic particle like electron has a dual nature. Okay, actually electron is a particle, but in some experiment, electron behaves as a wave. In some experiment, electron behaves as a wave. Right? Okay, so actually electron is a particle. But there are some experiments in which electron behaves as a wave. Okay, so actually electron is a particle, but in some experiment it exhibits its wave nature. Okay, so radiation and microscopic particle like electron has a dual nature, wave nature and particle nature. Okay, that you have studied, right? So I write de Broglie hypothesis short. Okay. Do you know the experiment in which electron exhibit its wave nature? That is a Davisson and Germer experiment. Davisson and Germer perform one experiment in which electron exhibited its wave nature. Okay. So I write radiation and microscopic particle like electron exhibits dual nature. Wave and particle. This is the de Broglie hypothesis that radiation. Generally you consider light as a radiation, but it is not like that. Radiation means light, and microscopic particle like electron exhibits dual nature, wave nature and particle nature. So radiation and microscopic particle like electron, proton, neutron exhibits dual nature. In some experiment, electron behaves as a particle, okay, but there are some experiment in which electron behaves as a wave. So actually electron is a particle, but in under suitable circumstances, electron behaves as a wave. So radiation and microscopic particle like electron exhibits dual nature, wave nature and particle nature. So electron exhibits dual nature, particle nature and wave nature. In some experiment, electron behaves as a wave, and I told you that Davis and Garma performed an experiment in which electron behaves as a wave. The de Broglie wavelength of this wave we know very well, that is to be lambda is equal to h upon mv. The de Broglie wavelength of this electron is lambda is h upon mv. M is the mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron. Now, what is the Einstein de Broglie relation? That according to a theory of relativity, according to Einstein theory of relativity, the energy is given by equation mc square, right? So according to Einstein theory of relativity, the energy of the electron, the energy of the particle is given by mc square. Where m is the mass of the particle and c is the velocity. Okay. The second equation of energy will be equal to h nu, right? What is h? H is a Planck constant and nu is the frequency of the wave associated with the electron. So according to Einstein theory of relativity, the energy of the particle is mc square, and the another equation of energy of the particle is h nu. To compare equation 1 and 2, comparing equation 1 and 2, we get h nu is equal to mc square. H nu is equal to mc square. Okay, so I take 1c here, so h nu upon c is equal to m into c, right? So let us compare the equation of energy. According to Einstein theory of relativity, the energy of the particle is mc square, and according to Planck's equation, the energy of the particle is h nu. Okay, so h nu 1c I am taking here, so h nu upon c is equal to m into, so what is m? Is the mass of photon, and c is the velocity of photon. M is the mass of the photon, m is the mass of the photon, and c is the velocity of the photon. What is mass into velocity? That is momentum p. So h nu upon c, if m is the mass of the photon and c is the velocity of photon, then mass of the photon m into velocity of the photon is the equal to momentum of the photon p. Therefore we get h nu upon c is equal to, as I told you, that mass of the photon m into velocity of the photon c is the momentum of the photon p. So h nu upon c is equal to p. Okay. You also know the equation of velocity, c is equal to lambda nu, right? This is a very familiar equation. The familiar equation, c is equal to lambda nu. What is lambda? Lambda is the wavelength of the wave associated with the electron particle, and nu is the frequency of the wave. So c is the wavelength of the wave associated with the electron, nu is the frequency, and c is the velocity of the. Okay. So if you put this value here, you will get h nu upon. Okay. Now let us put c is equal to lambda nu. C is equal to lambda nu is equal to p. So this frequency is going to be cancelled, and therefore we get p is equal to h upon lambda. We get p is equal to h upon lambda, right? And from p is equal to h upon lambda, you can write de Broglie wavelength lambda is h upon p, right? So from p is equal to h upon lambda, you can say the de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h upon p. Okay, this is a well-known equation. Okay, and this the wavelength is called de Broglie wavelength. So So what is h here? H is the Planck constant and p is the momentum of the electron. Okay? So if mass of the electron is m, if the mass of electron is m, velocity of electron is v, then momentum of the electron will be mv. Okay, so you can put the momentum of the electron p is equal to mv. Okay, so this equation lambda is equal to h upon p or h upon mv is called the de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave. So lambda is equal to h upon p or h upon mv is called the de Broglie wavelength of the electron wave. Okay, now if I multiply f from lambda equal to h upon p, p is equal to h upon lambda. P is equal to h upon lambda. Right? From lambda is equal to h upon p, we can write momentum p is equal to h upon lambda. Multiply and dividing by factor 2 pi. If you multiply by 2 pi, divide by 2 pi, you will get p is equal to h. Okay, so from the equation of de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h upon p, the momentum of the electron p is equal to h upon lambda. So let us multiply by 2 pi. Let us multiply by 2 pi and divide by 2 pi. Right? So we get p is equal to, what is h upon 2 pi is called h cross. H cross. H upon 2 pi is called h cross. And what is 2 pi upon lambda is called wave vector k. So p is equal to h cross k. What is p is the momentum of the particle. That is the property characteristics of particle. In case of wave vector, that is the property of wave vector. Okay. So this is a relation. This is a relation between the momentum of the particle and wave vector of the wave. This equation gives relation between momentum of particle this equation gives the relation between the momentum p of the particle, which is the characteristics of the particle, and wave vector of the wave. And wave vector k of wave representing the particle. Right? So this equation gives the relation between the momentum p of the particle and wave vector k of the wave, which representing the particle. Right? Okay. So this is the relation between momentum p of the particle, which is the particle characteristics, and wave vector k of the wave, which is associated with the particle, that is the wave characteristics. So left hand side, momentum is a particle characteristic, wave vector is a wave characteristics. And finally, we stop after calculating one example. One small example we calculate on de Broglie wavelengths. Okay, a mass of bullet 20 gram is moving with a speed of a bullet of mass 20 gram. Bullet of mass m is equal to 20 gram is moving with velocity v is equal to 360 km per hour. 360 km per hour. So bullet of mass 20 gram, bullet of mass m is equal to 20 gram is moving with velocity v equal to 360 km per hour from a gun. Calculate de Broglie wavelength. Calculate de Broglie wavelength. Right? Okay. So you are given that a bullet is fired from the gun. A A bullet is fired from the gun. A bullet of mass m is equal to 20 gram is fired from the gun with velocity v is equal to 360 km per hour. What is the de Broglie wavelength of the bullet, of the wave associated with the bullet? Okay. Now we are given the mass of the bullet is 20 gram. 20 gram. So I convert it into kilogram. So mass of the bullet will be 20 into 10 raised to minus 3 kilogram. So mass of the bullet m is 20 into 10 raised to minus 3 kilogram. Right? The velocity of the bullet is 360 kilometer per hour. So it is 360. 1 kilometer corresponds to 1000 meter. 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meter, and 1 hour means 3600 second. Right? So the velocity of the bullet is 360 kilometer per hour. 360 kilometer means 1000 meter. 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meter, and 1 hour means 3600 second. Right? So the velocity you will get, velocity of the bullet is 100 meter per second. 100 meter per second. So now let us calculate de Broglie wavelength. Okay, what is the equation de Broglie wavelength? Lambda is equal to h upon p or h upon m. So let us calculate the de Broglie wavelength of the wave associated with the bullet. Lambda is h upon p or h upon m. Okay, substitute the values. So lambda is equal to the value of Planck constant h is 6.63 raised to minus 34 joule into second. Mass of the bullet is given to 20 gram, is 20 into 10 minus 3 kilogram. 20 into 10 minus 3 kilogram. And velocity of the bullet is 360 km per hour, that is 100 meter per second. 100 meter per second. So wavelength lambda is 3.31 10 minus 34 meter. 3.31 10 to minus 34 meter. Right? 3.31 10 to minus 34 meter. That equation will give the wavelength of the wave associated with the bullet. Okay. And I give you one example for exercise. Second example I am giving you for exercise. Calculate de Broglie wavelength of a thermal neutron. Calculate de Broglie wavelength of a thermal neutron. Thermal neutron at 500 degree Kelvin temperature. At 500 degree Kelvin temperature. So this is your example. Calculate the de Broglie wavelength because there is a wave associated with the neutron. Okay. So calculate the de Broglie wavelength of a wave associated with a thermal neutron at 500 degree Kelvin temperature. Right? Okay. So you know the equation. The de Broglie wavelength lambda is given by h upon p. De Broglie wavelength of a thermal neutron. De Broglie wavelength of a thermal neutron. Lambda is equal to h upon p. So let us calculate the de Broglie wavelength of the wave associated with a thermal neutron is h upon p. So let us calculate the de Broglie wavelength of the wave associated with the thermal neutron, and it is h upon lambda is equal to h upon p. Now in order to find out the momentum p, okay, we will compare two equations of energy. Okay. You know the total energy of the thermal neutron is the kinetic energy plus potential energy is 0. So kinetic energy of the thermal neutron is p square upon 2m. Kinetic energy of the thermal neutron is P square upon 2m. And the thermal energy, E. Thermal energy means it is the energy of the neutron at temperature T, that is given by 3 by 2 kT. 3 by 2 kT. Right? So if you compare both the equations of energy, then kinetic energy of a thermal neutron is P square upon 2m. Kinetic energy of a thermal neutron is P square upon 2m, and thermal energy of a neutron at temperature T is 3 by 2 kT. This 2 is cancelled out. So P square is equal to 3m kT. So P is equal to under root 3m kT. Right? P square is equal to 2 is cancelled out. So value of P square, momentum of the neutron P square is 3m kT. So P is under root 3m kT. If you substitute this value of momentum P here, you will get lambda is equal to h upon P. So lambda is equal to h upon, what is the momentum of the neutron? Under root 3m kT. Under root 3m kT. Under root 3m kT. Substitute the values, we will get the answer. So I put the values. H upon lambda is equal to h upon the value of P we have substituted, that is 3m kT. So lambda is equal to Planck constant, you know very well, 6.63 10 to minus 34 joule into second, under root 3 mass of the neutron. I give you the mass of the neutron. The mass of the neutron is 1.67 10 to minus 27 kilogram. Right? So what is m here? It is not the mass of electron. You are given neutron. So m is the mass of neutron. Mass of neutron is 1.67 10 to minus 27 kilogram. K is a Boltzmann constant. Its value is 1.38 10 to minus 23. Please remember, the mass of neutron is 1.67 10 to minus 27 kilogram. Boltzmann constant is 1.38 10 to minus 23, and temperature is given to you, that is 500 degree Kelvin. Okay. So wavelength of a thermal neutron is 1.125 into 10 to minus 10 meter. So this lambda is 1.125 10 to minus 10 meter is the de Broglie wavelength of the wave associated with the neutron at 500 degree Kelvin temperature. Okay. So I wish you all the best for your exam. Okay. I pray God to get a good number of marks in the exam. Okay. Wish you all the best again, and we stop here. This is the end of our syllabus. Okay. Thank you so much.